politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour now on a Wednesday, September 18. It is the Bill Press Show, and that's me, and we're coming to you live from our nation's capital in our studio right here on Capitol Hill. We're so close to the Congress that you just never know. On their way to work, members of Congress just stop by to say hello, have a cup of coffee. This morning, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro joins us in the studio. Nice to see you, Congresswoman.
It's wonderful to be with you, Mr. Press.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
You.
And, of course, Christopher Hahn remains with us. Democratic strategist, as a friend of Bill, up from your part of the world, not that far away.
No,
from
right across the Sound.
Right across Long Island Sound, right.
Exactly.
Something that we share.
Congressman, on a sober note, I mean, one of the last times we've talked was you rep your district in Connecticut right next to Sandy Hook, and we talked about that horrific tragedy up there, and here we go, and this one half a block away. I'm a half a mile right from our studio. The shooting at the Navy Yard on Monday. Are we finally going to get any action out of Congress on this issue of gun safety?
I wish I could answer that question for you, Bill. First of all, our hearts are broken again, and these families. You watch the interviews, and it's just heart-wrenching. That this would happen again, but it continues to happen. And then we have a lot of notoriety around it. We have all the discussions that come up, and then they fall flat and nothing happens. There are still, tremendous lobbies out there that, don't want us to move forward. I heard Christopher say earlier, we'll talk about Second Amendment rights. We'll do all these things again. And you have to have the will to act here. This will continue to happen. We will have a continued loss of life. There will be continued violence unless we are looking at how, in fact, we begin to curtail the gun violence. Look at simple remedies like background checks. Put into place a formidable structure with regard to assisting with mental health services in this nation. It does not exist at the moment. And even when there is some sort of a recognition, and then how, in fact, do we allow someone who may have had difficulty in this area to purchase a firearm? So you can't keep having the same debate over and over and over again. There's got to be a willingness to act.
Absolutely.
And at the moment, there is no willingness to act.
And you raised the mental health issue, and this has been a long suit of yours. You've been working on this for years and years, and I wanted to ask you that because this guy, Aaron Alexis that we know now, I mean, he knew he had problems. He went to the authorities in Rhode Island just within a month or so ago and said, I'm hearing voices. I think these people are trailing me, and they're using a microwave device to send vibrations into my body. And this guy has, and he checked himself in a VA hospital to get some treatment for that. And yet he retains a security clearance, access to a military base, and as you point out, he's able to walk into a gun shop and legally buy this gun.
An article I
so what
just
should
read
we
this
be
morning,
doing?
I think he had a gun with him all of the time.
It's amazing.
He had a gun with him all of the time. He fired into a ceiling in one place where he was living. The woman there talked about how fearful that she was. He's also had other incidents, and that somehow this was not cataloged somewhere, that when he went to purchase, if he went to purchase, and the details are still coming out, an AR-15 or whatever it is that there was something that popped up.
It's the Republican Party's supremacy of the Second Amendment. None of the other amendments matter as much to them as the Second Amendment. They'll interfere with your, right to search and seizure at the drop of a hat. But the Second Amendment needs to be absolute in their mind because they say it protects all the other amendments, which, in 1787, maybe that was true, but it's 2013.
So
the political will has got to exist. I think the public is with us, and I think the public is probably, they're so discouraged. They are so discouraged and fed up.
So, I mean, you can't say that everybody who has mental problems is
No, not at all.
Is a violent person, right?
Exactly.
Who's going to use a gun.
Right.
But there are some people within that system, right, who get to a certain. I mean, the way it exists today, as I understand it, unless you are involuntarily committed to a mental institution, you do not with a background check. You don't. You can still purchase a gun, right? So
It's the way it goes.
It's the way it goes.
So we start there by tightening up the background check, and then also providing more treatment, more care.
Well, it is about care, the recognition of that. When we talked about, Newtown, and that tragedy, there has to be built into our education system and our healthcare system the resources to provide mental health services. It's about 67% of adults who have mental health issues are unable to get treated. The numbers are higher for children. And why? And when look, I'll move to the budget issues, the sequester issues.
Yeah.
When you're looking at funding for SAMHSA, for the Mental Health Service Agency, being cut back, and by people who will defend the Second Amendment rights, talk about going and moving toward mental health services, and then cutting off the funding and the resources for mental health services. There is no political will at the moment to make the change. And I reach out to the public in this regard. There has got to be an outcry and rage about this, because and I know, and Christopher knows, the institution responds to external pressure.
Absolutely. It's the only thing it responds to. Yeah.
And unless you've got the strongest external pressure, then it will drift along.
But here's my fear, and it came up yesterday at the White House briefing, and a couple of us reporters asked Jay Carney about this, is that the public may be at a point where they're accepting this as the new normal. I mean, you have Aurora, Colorado, you've got Newtown, Connecticut, and as several of our callers made the point yesterday morning, the first day, the day after the Navy Yard shooting, who called to say, if we didn't do anything after Newtown, we're not going to do anything after the Navy Yard. Now, when we get to that point, that's pretty sad.
Well, that's true. And look what further dampens this effort. Well-meaning, good people in Colorado vote to strengthen their gun laws. Yeah. And 2 people were recalled.
I wonder if they would have been recalled if the election was held today. Where, I know it happened in Colorado, it happened in Connecticut, but here it is, it happened on Monday, and now we're going to have, a recall election. If the recall election had been this Tuesday, I don't know that these people would have lost their seats. I also think that these recall elections are dubious when it comes to gauging the actual will of the people, because
it's organizing.
Yeah, the far right is very, very motivated on this issue, and unfortunately for us,
but there was another factor there, at least I was told, that they were not able to vote by mail in the recall. And in Colorado, some huge percentage of people vote by mail.
Yeah.
And so this really limited the turnout. The turnout.
Well, but I just think it is, so if it happened Monday and the election were Tuesday, it would have been different. But that's because it's just we trigger a reaction, and in the days in the aftermath, everybody is there. The hype is on. We talk about this. We move in that direction, and then nothing happens.
You pointed out, Congresswoman, the public that should, and people do respond here, right? It should, and I hopefully still do, to what the public is demanding. Okay. So 80% of Americans oppose a military strike against Syria. So we put that off and we don't have that. Well, 90% of Americans support background checks. But on that issue, no. They could care less, right?
Right.
It's just,
and it's stunning. It
All right,
really is.
so I have an
stunning.
idea. All right. So if we're not going to do anything about gun safety, let's do something really worthwhile, Congresswoman. Let's cut food stamps.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Now, that's the,
$40 billion.
This is
$40 billion.
They're just
This is
mean.
the other agenda, and I want to hear more about what we can do maybe about that, particularly in light of the poverty numbers, the new ones that came out yesterday. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro in the studio with us, with Christopher Hahn, Democratic Strategist, well, we're three talkers here, but you can join the conversation here. We'll try to get a word. You try to word in edgewise. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.